All right, guys, welcome back to State of the Game. Let's talk about WCS Korea. The round of eight is finished. We have our two winners. Of course, Innovation versus Symbol went down last night, and since all three of these guys were playing in the WCS this week, I'm sure they have not watched it yet. Uh, it was okay. I mean, it was just Innovation destroying kids as he likes to do. The two games that Symbol did win were pretty much all ins, and it was Symbol just Innovation just destroyed him. That's probably the best analysis you'll get from me and anyone else on the show because they haven't watched it yet. But I definitely say go watch them. But let's talk about the match that you guys did watch, which is SOS versus Sulky. And I want to hear what you guys think first before I give my opinion on what a terrible series it was. So, Grubby, we'll start with you. What'd you think of the other round of eight match?
Well, I had something to do. I couldn't watch the start, but I saw that SOS started on 0-3. I didn't really watch it yet because... Am I still here?
Yep, you're still here.
Okay. I don't know. Sorry. Anyway,
Skype fixed itself and like all of the good or all the bad noise went away, but it'll come back.
Yes.
It'll come back.
When I'm sleeping at night.
Exactly.
But I usually don't feel that eager to go watch like the protest losses because it's demoralizing. So I don't even know if I'll go watch them back. But then I saw SOS come back in like the most inconceivable way. Some cannon rushes, some big mistakes by Sulky. Like I think it was the fourth game where Sulky just had like a ginormous lead. Was it Ackle Waste? He had spines and spores everywhere. Swarm house.
Yeah.
He was really well set. He was snug. And then like SOS just walked to the top of the map and just started walking down and just sweeping up spines and spores as he went along. And I don't know, like the whole army wasn't there for Sulky to defend. He came back, and I think he was really like confused that he lost that and gave it away in such a manner. And then I think the next two games was just mental. Like I don't even exactly remember how the games went. It's that kind of series. I can still describe Kang Ho versus SOS, but it's that kind of series. Like it was like weird, ugly games like Cannon Rush, stuff like this, but really good on SOS that he's able to come back and make it to the 3-3. And the last game, pretty exciting. It was worthy of a last game, even though
That's
it
definitely
wasn't
true,
perfect
yeah.
play, but it was worthy of a decider game, and both really played out their hearts. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was glad that it was not just a 4-0 sweep. But
Yeah.
some of those games were, as someone who doesn't obviously play on the level of any other pro or any other player that thinks he's good, like I was just not entertained until probably the seventh game. Todd, I know you watched the last couple of games as well. What were your thoughts on them?
You know, it's so funny. The answer Grubby just gave is like the exact answer I would have given. Like, I don't usually watch live too much because I mostly like to watch when Protoss wins. And this day, for some reason, I woke up pretty late. And when I was like, let's tune in, let's see how SOS is doing. And then I see 0-3. I'm like, oh shit, it's going to be a 4-0. Like, so I start watching a little bit. And then he wins a game, then he wins another. But like all these games, they are quite ridiculous. I mean, these players are very, very good. But now what they were doing was just so weird. It wasn't your usual games. So I don't know. Just like Grubby, I don't even remember exactly everything that happened. I kind of erased those games from my especially the thing that I remember is the cannon rush somehow. The cannon rushing with like the one cannon, like this is the thing. Look at Grubby's face. He remembers it. That's the only thing you remember as well from this series, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
it is really.
so yeah, not the best series, and yes.
No, tell me if you agree or not, but like, don't you feel sometimes when you watch someone play and you're trying to learn from their play, if they're playing very well, like you get inspired and you try to remember all the things they're doing well, but if they play bad, and if you really, of course anyone can play bad, right? Even fantastic players like SOS or something, but if they play like less good and you're watching it, you can also feel yourself getting worse if you try to remember everything. Don't you, don't you think?
Wow.
It's not a good example for SOS, but like if you remember too well and you imprint it on your memory, you might play ladder and see yourself. Let's just try out how it feels. Like, oh yeah, it is bad, and then you try to erase
it really
it.
depends. I mean, we both remember that Cannon Rush pretty well, I would guess, but that doesn't mean we're going to make the same ridiculous one. Or will we?
I don't know. Maybe it's.
Let's find out. Let's go later.
Oh God.
I think my games in GSL look pretty ridiculous too, so I'm not really one to talk criticism about those games. I know there's so much coming at you in those games.
Yeah.
This weird man playing at GSL, like, it's very easy to criticize. When I started watching GSL, just switching over from Warcraft, and I thought, like, their level isn't so high, and I see so many mistakes that they're making, and my own games seem close by comparison. But then when you finally play those guys, or you even play in GSL, it's so different. And anyone who hasn't, been at the highest level, and it's really hard to understand. So, go figure.
I saw the chat mention the fact that they were both teammates, and it's something that always sits in the back of my mind. Just the fact that since they are teammates, do you think that is kind of why we saw what we saw? That it could have been bad play, it could have been the fact that they knew somewhat of what they were both doing, but could it potentially have been that? I mean, and you guys can say to this however you want, and just deny it 100% because it's probably 100% wrong. But is there any sense of the fact that maybe they wanted a certain player to win from that team to potentially get in the finals because he had a better chance against Innovation, who was probably going to win the other match?
I wouldn't think they would do that to their players. The only thing I think with teammates would be a lot of metagaming, a lot of strategies to beat strategies and weird stuff going on that a lot of people wouldn't recognize. But I doubt they would throw one under the bus and say, hey, you gotta take this loss because he's better.
Yeah. But I don't think they would mess around too much, not play serious. They want it too bad for that as players. But the only thing that changes when you play teammate in tournaments is metagame. Obviously, there will be more metagame usually than if you play somebody else. And also, if you lose, you'll be less sad because at least your teammate advances on and is still representing the team. So, yeah, I don't think the fact that they're a teammate really affected the way they played, at least not directly. Maybe unconsciously, they played differently than they would have without even realizing it.
Sure.
And I agree with both of them.
Yeah, I see the chat saying, of course, that's a pretty grave thing to claim, and I'm in no way claiming that. I was just kind of throwing that around as a question about it. So, mOOnGLaDe, what did you think of the match? I know you said you watched it while you were still kind of screwed mentally with the whole time zone thing. So,
yeah, it's all pretty hazy, kind of like the other guys. It wasn't really a series to remember for the most part. There wasn't really either side playing amazingly and inspirationally or anything. I do remember cannon rushes, and it was pretty much just a series. Some random games, and I'm glad that Sulky won because he seemed like the better player. But it took him 7 games to do it. I wish would have been nice if it was just 4. But yeah, it was an okay series.
Also,
go ahead.
when you think about it, what SOS showed against Kang Ho and some of his other games was it wasn't just a new strategy, let's do this Immortal all in, and the next time I do it, it's going to be pretty much the same, but maybe I make a Zealot instead of a Stalker. He had a whole new, let's say, school of thinking with Charge, DTs, Phoenix's Void Race, and even though, you see someone like Hero or Crank, mess around with that too, the way he did a lot of the things was pretty new. How did he develop that strategy? Practicing with Sulky. So he would have told Sulky the counter already, either through his play or through actual conversation. So that, when they do face each other, as Todd very rightly pointed out, there's a lot of weird mind games going on. Shall I do it again? They know their mutual win rate between them. So if SOS knows that his win rate on average is 30%, he's going to bring something different to the game, right? And when he tries to prepare that something different, he's going to have to do it pretty secretly because they can just do like that. Oh, you're cannon rushing all the time. You're going to cannon rush me tomorrow. So You know, a lot of the strategies that you prepare.
Sickest pre-game chat.
The, anyway, a lot of the strategies you have to do them in your mind. That's why it always looks more messy, because it's less well practiced when you mind game your teammate. Maybe that's why.
That's a good point. So, we'll just interrupt the show real quick. Two things. One, Todd, I believe you have a question to ask mOOnGLaDe from a certain pro player.
Moro asked to ask you, what happens if a kangaroo jumps on a trampoline?
We don't allow that in Australia. It's actually against the law because it's dangerous for planes flying over. It's just something.
You can't play with kangaroos.
Yeah, you can play with them, but you can't put them on trampolines, man. They jump too high.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's a good question there.
The second thing, mOOnGLaDe, the fans want it. Todd wants it. I'm sure Grubby wants it. Can we get a hair flip?
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
It's not going to be awkward. We promise.
I'm gonna be like this show pony from now on.
Yeah, it's like
do it, man.
Hair
do
flip,
it.
hair flip.
I tell you what. I'll do it in the round of 8 for everyone.
Oh,
so it's on the big stage. It's on the big stage, and everyone can do it. I'll make sure. Yeah, I'll make sure MLG knows it's gonna happen, so they're ready on me, and I get the notification in the game, like, okay, the camera's on you. I'll do it.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll do it.
There you go. He's gonna go practice in the mirror and be like,
I'm actually gonna practice it.
That's the bad angle. That's a bad angle. I got to do it more this way.
Dude, someone like mOOnGLaDe, he knows what his right angle is. Don't worry, JP.
Yeah, don't you worry.
It's every angle.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Let's talk real quick. And typically, when you bring up innovations on shows like this, it just turns into kind of a circle jerk. So maybe that's what this will turn into. But the stats that they used prior to the show are pretty amazing. In the round of 32, he defeats Rain 2-1, Hyun 2-0, Rain again 2-0. Round of 16, Flash 2-1, Life 2-0. And then beats the previous GSL champion, Roro 3-0 in the round of 8. And then, of course, wins today 4-2 versus Symbol, I believe, who got to the finals last season against Roro. So, like, looking at those stats, where do you guys put this player right now in terms of the rest of the world and even Korea inside of that? And we'll just start with Grubby because you're nodding your head in something. So what does that mean, Grubby?
I just like the motion.
All right, well, you're speaking first regardless,
I
Grubby.
got like a swiveling chair, so it's just comfortable. Anyway, I also agree with what you were saying, but that's a coincidence. Yeah, he's just playing like unfathomably good, right? Like really, really well, and I think everyone can see that. I don't really want to put things in perspective because it's just like it's so impressive. But if you were to ask me to bring some tempering to that crazy fanboy mode that everyone is on innovation, a lot of the top players like in StarCraft 1 or Warcraft 3 or StarCraft 2, they've been in that phase where it just seems like no one can touch them. And when you're in that phase, it seems like everyone else is playing worse or predictably, and everything you're doing seems to, everything you touch turns to gold. And I think innovation is in that place right now, which is why I think he'll definitely win the finals. And this is the first time I think I've done such a big prediction. But I think he will win the finals. Like, I think he's in that place where just luck keeps smiling at him. But probably it won't last forever, right? Like, even if it seems like that, history has taught us there's always a new champion. So, like, right now, I think, yes, he is the hottest stuff. Like, he understands the game very well. He has insane mechanics. And everyone else is just not playing to his level. But you're only really the world's best when you win the hardest tournament in the world. And, well, I always thought you're only the world's best for 5 minutes. Like, while you're winning that tournament. And after that, everyone is going to try to take you down again, right? You got to keep proving yourself. But right now, he's definitely proving that he is. Very impressive.
Grubby, the follow-up, and I'll ask the rest of you this as well so you can start prepping an answer in case you need to. But would he have a higher chance TVP than TVZ, or what matchup do you think favors him more in the final? Obviously, we know what it is, but What matchup do you think would favor him more in the final?
I've never played against him, so like to form a proper judgment about a player, I feel like you have to play against him once. Like there's like diamond level players that message Todd or mOOnGLaDe or me or like I can take you out, play me. And, like
Oh man, I hate them.
they no, but the funny
Sorry,
thing
guys, I
is-
won't message you like that anymore. All right, God, you don't have to call me out on the fucking show.
Damn, JP,
Jeez.
even with Day 9's coaching, you still can't. Take
I
it out.
know, right? I can't even do that shit. Jesus.
No, but when I was 16, there was this player in the Netherlands called Liquid Nazgul, and he was pretty famous and good. But when I watched him play, I was like, I can beat this guy. I'm better. But like looking back now, I know definitely I wasn't. But back then, I really believed it. So like. People like they always have images about themselves. Sometimes they're realistic and sometimes they aren't, but that's okay. But when you play them, you'll be shown reality. And I think when you play Innovation, then you'll be able to see how good his TVP is. And for now, I've just been observing secondhand or third party. But if I play him, I feel like I would feel his true force. So it's impossible for me to say, is his TVP better? Is his TVZ better?
Sure.
Most likely it's very scary.
All right, Todd, we'll go to you. I mean, what do you think about Innovation right now as a player? Is all this hype deserved?
Yeah, definitely. I think if I was sulky, I would be shitting my pants right now, because he has to play against this player who's crushing everybody right now. And answering your question about Protoss or Zerg being better against better of a matchup against Innovation, I think against Zerg he really seems to be on a complete other level. He's against Protoss too, but I think maybe a little bit more against Zerg. He's just like almost unbeatable. I've seen him lose to Rain in Pro League, so it was an all-in, it was a best of one, but he's not untouchable by Protoss, although he's really, really good against it. Whereas against Zerg, I really feel like right now it's nearly impossible to beat this guy, but if there is one guy who can do it, it will be either Life or Sulky right now, and Sulky is going to have his title shot. So, yeah, Innovation the big favorite, but Sulky, in my opinion, he has a shot, but it's not very big. I think everybody would agree on that.
There was a moment last night, because I know you guys didn't watch it. I just thought it was funny where I think it was either a pause or it was in between matches, and someone walked into Symbol's booth, and Tastosis made the joke of he was just asking, like, how the fuck do I beat this guy? Like, what am I supposed to do here? And this was when he was down like 2-0 because they didn't, like, Nick and Dan didn't even know what could be done against him in TVZ. And I'll throw this to mOOnGLaDe. Like, have you watched his TVZ? Is it as immaculate as everyone else claims?
Yes, absolutely. It's scary as hell to watch. And
Do you think
looking at
he can lose a long macro game? Sorry to interrupt, but I'm really curious about this. Do you think he can lose like a really long game, or will it have to be an all-in every single time?
No, well, it'd have to be mixed up. I think he could lose like a long macro game, but it looks so difficult the way he uses Marines and Mines so cost effectively, so consistently, and so many areas at once that it's ridiculously hard for Zerg to try and micro properly, so you don't lose everything to a mine as well as take out all the Marines. He does it so well, so it's like perfect for the current metagame, and yeah, it's definitely his TVZ which is the strongest, I feel, and yeah, I think Sulky is pretty screwed. He's gonna have to really come up with something pretty interesting.
God, man.
This poor guy.
Yeah, he's like, he's getting so defeated in the match, has like just been formed, and everyone's like, well, here's the check Innovation. Like they're already writing the check and everything to him. It's honestly what it sounds like. To reference,
Shows up for the grand finals.
do what?
There is the name of Innovation on the check.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be sick?
They got the trophy.
Like hide it from Sulky.
They think that they're going to introduce the players, but they're actually just going to hand the check to Innovation and like hit Sulky in the head or something.
Never been
my
done before.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It was when was the last time? And this is more a question for mOOnGLaDe, but I felt like for a while there against that Widow Mine style with the MMM, I guess, is if you want to make up a term for it. When was the last time that someone actually used tanks against that? Because In the final match last night, Innovation did actually use tanks against a Roach Ling Bling force from Symbol, and it obviously just destroyed that and devastated that. Is that the style that Terrans have kind of been missing in that matchup, in your opinion?
Well, against Symbol, absolutely, because Symbol seems to really favor roaches and baneling timings. So I think that's definitely like something that he would have prepared specifically for Symbol. And against any Zerg that's kind of like known to do like timings with banelings and Zerglings or roaches, they usually add like a tank before they start mine production, and they're sitting pretty sweet on 3 base and can pretty much beat any kind of all-in like that.
I had a question too, if you don't mind, JP.
No, man, go ahead. I love questions from the people on the show. It's what it's supposed to be. You guys aren't just supposed to sit there.
Yay! We can make friends. No, I just wanted to ask a good Zerg for a long time already. Like, do you feel that the Terrans abandoned the tank style out of a position of comfort? Like, I'd even rather have mines, or out of a position of desperation, like tanks don't work anymore because Vipers or faster Mutalisks or something like that?
Well, it's kind of both, to be honest. Like, tanks, they can be caught out of position so easily, and with good creep spread, it's almost guaranteed every time. And like mines you can plant them any time, and they're going to cause some sweet damage, and they're so convenient, and it's so much easier to micro them. So you don't have to focus fire with them. You just plant them and you micro your Marines. You run away. So it's just like a huge upgrade instead of using these tanks. It's just like something that's so much better and so much nicer and so much easier to use. So it's like everything in together, it works so nicely. But there's obviously times where you'd rather a tank, like if they are doing all-ins that are going to catch you. But
I guess there was this actions bottleneck. Like, they had only so many actions to spend on microing their Marine Marauder because, as you said, the tanks need to be focus fired.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, the Widow Mines can be focus fired too,
Yeah,
but it's not
true.
always as
It's not always,
essential,
it's
maybe.
not as essential, and I mean, like, it's a great deal harder to try and focus fire them a lot of the time, I think, because if you've got Zerglings running all through them, it's hard to catch them and micro them all at the same time.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. It's the beauty of it, because they'll sit there and they'll recharge after they've spent a shot. So you just shoot and run, and you let them burrow there, and like, they got to have an overseer there. They got to have something to kill it, something to take a shot from it, and it's just so much easier to use, I think.
Okay, so some push, some pull in stopping to use tank and using mine.
mOOnGLaDe, would you say that is the next kind of step for Terrans is actually, because as far as I can tell, no one's actually controlling their Widow Mines. They're just like, go have fun, boys, and kill whatever the fuck you can. Like, is the next step actually controlling them?
I think,
and dedicating what targets you want to hit and what clumps you want to hit?
yeah, I think if there's opportunity, they should take it, but I don't think it's always necessary at all. I think just a simple threat of having mines there, and if you're playing like Innovation does, where he's everywhere at once, and he's planting mines everywhere, it's too much for someone to handle, because there's nothing that can just steamroll a mine. You got to take a shot first, and you got to have something to observe it. Then you got to kill it, while Marines behind it are shooting at you. And so it's so tricky the way he does it, and it's just something that would blow your mind trying to defeat, and it's very challenging.
I guess the one last thing I want to mention about Innovation, and maybe this is kind of widening the scope a little bit and just talking about Caspa players in general, but I got a tweet from Ethan, and he was just saying, can we point out how short it took for Caspa players to dominate the top tier of StarCraft, especially in the GSL? I think the stat was, it's either 12 or 16 Caspa players are now in Code S. Maybe you guys can confirm or deny that, but is that something that should be talked about, or is that something that's just expected from you guys?
I think it's something expected. I mean, it's always been known of their tremendous work ethic and training schedules, and they've been doing this a whole lot longer than anyone from StarCraft 2, and they have like a lot of support, big sponsors, and salaries and things to play for. So I guess it was pretty much just a matter of time. I don't think it's too much of a surprise.
Todd or Grubby,
Yeah.
does that scare you guys at all that it only took them that long and now we're just seeing players like Innovation just come in and dominate everyone?
Well, you can let it scare you, but I think it would be most scary if you're playing in Pro League. But luckily, there are still regional tournaments too, where you can develop yourself, prove yourself, and
They're
have
safe.
victories.
For now.
We're a little yeah, for now until the barbarian invaders
Yeah.
of Vespa come over the world and ransack everything. But it only makes sense, right? Koreans are the best in RTS in general because of their training techniques, and Kespa have the best training techniques among Koreans. So it's like Korea within Korea, and it makes sense. I think a lot of people, it was a bit ugly, like the political issues between Kespa and GSL, like a while ago. Now it seems like it's kind of cool because Blizzard took control. But everyone was thinking like, when the first few Kespa players came in GSL, it was like close, right? Like, oh, they didn't make it yet. They're not good enough yet. But I think everyone kind of expected for them to populate GSL sooner or later. And as it seems, pretty sooner, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
top 4 was 3 Kespa players, wasn't it? Barring Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And
So-
2 in finals.
Yeah,
But
two in the
then-
finals.
The one comforting thing that we can say is like, yeah, you can label them Kespa, and you can label those guys GSL, and you can label those guys foreigners. But in the end, like, if you just think of it in a non-labeling manner, where you just say like, we're all human beings, and they're just really good because they're practicing really well, and they're also talented among their peers. Then, then you don't have to be scared. Like, it's just an example and inspiration.
Todd, do you want to add in anything to that with the Kespa players just coming in?
I'm actually one of the guys who was very skeptical at first. People were telling me, Flash is going to come, he's going to dominate everybody. The Kespa players, they are going to take over. And I was like, no, man. The Esports Federation is where it's at. Squirtle, Life, all these guys, they're going to keep on owning, and they're never going to lose. Like, the very top Esports Federation players in Korea are never going to lose to the Kespa players. And now I realize that I was completely wrong, because the Kespa players, they are improving so rapidly. They have to play in Pro League, and for that, they practice non-stop. They practice more than the players that were in GSL originally, I think. They seriously practice non-stop, and then you get to see what they come up with in those leagues, and then you're like, oh my god, these guys are actually really, really good. And I basically watch even less the Esports Federation players now compared to the Kespa players. I watch almost exclusively Pro League. I watch some GSL when there is a very good Protoss playing, but other than that, I think if you want to find some very good build orders right now, Pro League or like the very good players of your race in the GSL as well is where you need to go. Both are very, very sick players, but the Kespa players are a little bit better, so they are going to start populating more and more the GSL, and then eventually, I'm not sure how many Esports Federation players there is going to be left, because it's just so hard to keep on competing with these guys. But thank God, at least there are some who are still able to do that. I'm a little bit surprised to see Life kind of fading out these days, by the way. I really did think he was going to be maybe the first
Well,
Bonjour.
To be fair, man, he was in like the hardest group ever created in GSL, was he not?
Yeah, that's true, but yeah, I guess he could have been partying. He could have made it. It's Life, man. He's not supposed to lose to anybody. Okay, maybe Innovation. I would let him get away with losing to Innovation or Flash, but other than that, he should be able to crush anybody he meets. But now he didn't make it, so I guess you can make his case saying he had a very hard group. I'm very impatient to see what next season of GSL brings.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's
And I hope more Protoss make it far.
sure. That's probably the best part, is that, I mean, we're getting ready to close Code S here, and instead of waiting for another one, we get to watch the first. What is the end of all this called? Is it a season? I don't even know what WCS calls it. Is it a season 1 championship? Is that what it is?
Season one?
3 seasons in this year.
Okay,
Season 1.
I didn't know what
2000.
the hell the terminology was for the term, but yeah, we get to watch that season 1 championship go down. In I think it's 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. It's in Korea, I know
Yes.
that much, but that's going to be an awesome tournament because we get to see, obviously, these players from all around the world go, and that'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a more condensed tournament, too. We don't have to wait an entire month to see how it unfolds. We get to see it pretty quickly, but other than that, that is going to be WCS, and I got to say it's pretty awesome. Once again, just to reiterate this, as I kind of done since the first week where there were so many problems, that from 4 a.m. to about 9 p.m. each day, you can watch WCS in some form, whether it's the Korean version, the EU version, or the US version. Like, there's always StarCraft on, and that's pretty awesome because you know where to go, you know where to find it, and it's all the players that you already know. So keep up good work regardless of who's doing better production or who's doing blah, blah, blah. Like, just be thankful that we actually have that from my point of view. And we do have a follow-up question from our sideline reporter, Moro. mOOnGLaDe, do you think midgets can ride on kangaroos?
Who left Moro?
Look, I'm just going with it, Grubby. That's what we do. We just go.
I think they'd have a much better chance riding like in the pouch of a kangaroo. But it might be a bit too bumpy riding on the back of one. They do like to hop after all. But,
So midgets are
I've never
allowed.
tried. That's scary. They're like really muscly and tough. Yeah, they can beat
wow.
you up, man.
Really?
Easily. Yeah.
Like in
Kangaroos
Street-
can punch the
Tekken,
shit
is
out
it?
of you, man, and kick you.
What
Yeah,
video
it's just
game is
like
it that-
yeah, just like Tekken, man. The kangaroo in Tekken is how they are.
Tekken is real.
They'll beat the crap out of you, man.
Roger's real, man. Was that? I think that was the Tekken kangaroo's
Yeah.
name, Roger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
These are sick red gloves.
Yeah.
Today I learned.
Have they ever put real boxing gloves on a kangaroo and let him fight a man?
I think they have. And they can box. Like they're pretty buff. Like no, like they are really muscly.
You have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Intimate experience.
Well,
with
no, that
kangaroos.
they teach you that in
think-
grade school in Australia when you grow up. Like, that's one of the first things you learn, Grubby.
Yeah.
That's what I've been
You-
told, at least.
Oh, well, then it's true.
Yeah, it's obviously true. It's obviously true.
They're scary things, man.
So, from one really serious question from Morrow to another really serious question from myself, what type of pizza do you guys like? And we'll start with mOOnGLaDe.
I like a good kangaroo pizza.
Oh, you animal!
The kangaroo meat is a little bit tough. It's pretty delicious.
I think of you differently now.
Hey, sorry. Welcome to Australia.
I think I just move on from here. I don't think Todd and Grubby get an answer. Todd, do you eat horse pizza? Is that where you're going, Todd, being the French person?
No.
Frog
pizza.
leg.
Frog legs.
And snails.
Frog leg pizza.
But with with a little bit of a Hawaiian touch. Pineapples on it too. You know.
Have you ever had frog's legs?
Of course.
Is it good?
It's pretty decent, but snails are actually better. Snails are like
Escargot's
for
pretty
New
good,
Year.
man.
For New Year, it's like one of the things. I guess I don't know if it's in my family or like just in general in France, but yeah, it's very common to eat for New Year like snails. It's pretty sick good, man.
Escargot's pretty
Should
good.
try.
I've had a lot, yeah.
Come visit me.
Well,
I'll make sure I
hold
tell
on.
my mom to cook some for you.
mOOnGLaDe, you're in New York. You can actually get whatever the fuck you want to eat that exists in
man,
the world. Just go.
And if fucking Shibby takes me somewhere,
I know. Look, I'll call Shibby, okay? I've been relying on Twitter, but he's obviously let me down. I'll call him. I'll loop in Sundance. They'll take you out.
Yeah, well, Sundance. I met Sundance. He said he was going to be mean to me, but he was pretty nice.
Yeah.
So he didn't follow up. But yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
I'll be
You
in
know
there
what we
next
should
week.
do? We
What's
should
that, Grubby?
all give something that mOOnGLaDe should eat in New York.
Hey,
Okay, yeah.
You vote escargot?
Todd,
Yeah.
you say escargot?
I vote for snails.
Grubby,
Alright.
what are you voting for?
I'm gonna be really radical because the Dutch kitchen is so interesting, tasty, and diverse. Potatoes.
Some potatoes.
You're doomed.
Is that a version? Are you talking fries, like, or is
No,
it just potatoes?
Boiled
Just a-
potatoes.
boiled potato.
Okay.
We got some
Yeah, I
potatoes in this house, actually. I could just boil one right now.
Go. We'll be right back.
Hey, Grubby, you didn't answer. What pizza?
Come on. Do you even have to ask? Banana garlic pizza is where it's at. I
Banana
recommend it.
garlic? Really?
That
Oh.
sounds disgusting, man.
Nobody ever wants this. But have you tried it?
I've never heard of banana garlic pizza.
I would never.
No.
You will. You will. mOOnGLaDe,
No.
you should eat a banana garlic pizza. I'm telling you, I had this pizza, this lovely banana garlic pizza 7 years ago, and I've never been able to forget about it. It was on Gran Canaria, one of the Spanish islands. And when I first saw it in the menu, I instantly fell in love. When I tried it, I didn't know what to expect, but it was good. Succulent, tasty, that garlic taste, but also the sweetness of banana. A
Guys.
strange combination, to be sure.
I think Grubby's going to start a Food Network show right after he gets
Sick
off.
cooking show.
Dude, I
State
can
of the
listen to you
food.
describe food like all fucking day, man. You're the next Gordon Ramsay, but you're just the nice guy.
Get out of my kitchen!
Good lord, good lord.
It's
Well,
interesting, man.
I've given you all of the good places to go. Have you ever had a corn dog, mOOnGLaDe? Do they have that in Australia?
I'm sure I've had like a very low quality corn dog.
Okay, well,
Not in the
there's
New York
a
one.
go to Papaya Dog. It's pretty close to the MLG offices. I'm not saying it's great, but if you happen to go out and drink, they're open 24 hours. So like
Okay.
3 a.m. or 4 a.m. corn dog, that'll do you
Right,
good,
right.
man. That'll do you good. Yeah,
Sounds
that's
healthy.
all we're gonna talk about pizza, guys. I don't have anything else. I don't know why I asked that question. It's really weird.
That's a good question.
It's a good question,
Opened up
though.
an interesting
So
conversation.
Everyone's been talking and tweeting about pizza, and I really don't know why. I don't know what the whole
Oh man,
business behind
It's
that
working.
is.
Look
You're
what
out
you
of
like
it,
it.
JP.
Oh god. Yeah, I think they've reached like tier 10, so they're gonna add more or something. I don't know. I can't
Yay.
believe that that has
Does
been
that
a
mean more-
topic.
Does that mean more pizza tweets? So I love looking at my Twitter and just seeing that everywhere.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. As an
Yes.
Australian, that must be very exciting for you.
Yeah. Oh, Papa John's. I can't order that. I don't care. Yeah.
What if it was a massive troll and they end up not sponsoring any of them?
They just made some like sweet money and it's like, thanks guys.
That sweet esports money, the good GIF with them taking some esports bag of money.
JP?
Yeah, what
Can
does
we
this
talk
see like?
about WCS Europe?
Yeah, what happened?
Round of-
Oh, did they announce the playoffs? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
yeah, it was done after the round of 16 finished.
Let's do it. I totally forgot about that. I'll bring them up on screen. What would you like to start with? The fact that there's a single Protoss, Todd? Is that where you're going?
Yes. Yes.
How did I know?
You know Todd so well.
Yeah.
Baby
I
Knight
knew Todd so
representing.
well.
You know, Baby Knight, he was the Protoss that went the furthest in the previous WCS Europe, and now again. So it's his tournament.
Whoops.
Excuse
Wow.
me. He
What?
came equally far as me.
Oh,
Really?
this is awkward.
We were both 5th, 6th. There was no decider match.
Maybe there was, but you didn't turn up for it.
Ooh.
Wow.
Maybe
You're such a hard ass,
that's-
Grubby. Okay.
Please.
He was
go.
the Protoss that went the furthest in the WCS Europe, along with Grubby.
Oh.
And now, this time, he is the Protoss that went the furthest in the WCS Europe. So, I'm really excited for him. Obviously, he's the only Protoss in there, but playing against Stefano first round is going to be very hard. The thing is, he beat Stefano in the previous group stage, but now Stefano are having a new chance. He said that he didn't play his best in the previous series that he had versus Baby Knight, so I can't wait to see what these two have in store for this match here, which will be, by the way, in 2 days. I'm flying tomorrow
Oh, it's-
technically today
God,
to
it starts
Germany to
that
cast
fast.
with Apollo and Kailaris.
Wow.
Some of these matches are actually, I would say, for me, Happy Damaga is probably the least exciting. TLO MVP. TLO's
Why? You think who wins?
See, that's the thing is, I don't know
Okay.
who wins that. I think they're probably pretty equal in skill, and that might actually create a
Damaga.
good game.
I hope Damaga wins.
I would think Dimaga because he's playing smarter, it seems. You know, even though Happy's micro is absolutely insane. But Dimaga said in an interview that Happy beats him 80% of the time on ladder. That's ladder, of course.
Happy
Damaga.
beats everybody 80% of the time. What ladder?
I will say I was
But
not expecting Happy to get out of the group the way he did
Yeah.
in the round of 16. That was pretty surprising. I think everyone was a little bit surprised by that. And maybe that's just because
you
we're
don't
all
know the European scene
exactly.
very well.
Yeah,
Steve.
that's exactly what I was about to say. Like maybe that's because no one follows Happy unless you're like a European, and they just don't expect that because he does not have that international presence that a Stefano does, or even
Yeah.
a Demago or a Baby Knight, like or a Lucifron, any other one of these players really. I would say he's
It's
probably
very
the-
easy to follow Happy. There is 2 barcodes on the European ladder that are always ranked 1 and 2. And it's always Lucifron and Happy. They are fighting for it. They only lose to each other, never to anybody else. And
You
if
sound a
wanna
little bit
follow Happy,
upset
just-
there, Todd. Are you? Okay?
I lose to him a lot, so I think he's really sick versus Protoss. And the thing is, before Lucifron played versus Happy in the first group stage of the WCS Europe, Lucifron actually said that he thought Happy was the best foreigner, which is a big statement. He wasn't trolling, he was dead serious.
Wow.
So from there, I started taking interest in Happy's play. And then I have to say, I've been very impressed with the way he played at DreamHack, the way he crushes me on ladder every day, and then how he played in WCS so far. So in my opinion, he's a big favorite to go very far. The thing is, he's very predictable, but so far it's not stopped him from winning a lot.
What do you think about that, Grubby? What do you think about
Well,
Happy?
The funny thing is, what Todd said is true. He generally is very predictable. That's because Happy is the type of. I was on a team with him, so I know him a little bit better than some. He is the kind of player that when he finds a strategy which he believes is the best, out of sheer stubbornness, he will not veer away from it. He wants to believe that there's one strategy that beats all. And he's making a pretty good case for himself that this may be possible. It took him a while. You know, he's been playing StarCraft about 150 games a day since the start of StarCraft. Very hard-working player, insanely good micro. So far, his predictability was killing him. And, you know, there's a lot of people saying that Warcraft was a better game for him than StarCraft because there you could pretty much play one style. Change up your creeper out a bit maybe, but play one strategy. And micro was a very important factor. But, of course, even there, his predictability sometimes killed him. But just to put things in perspective. But for now, it seems like it's working better and better for him. Also, they were saying Happy he's good online, but not offline. Then you think, why is that the case? Maybe his online opponents, they're playing into his cards, right? Because they know, like, I know that I want to save my counter build for LAN when I meet you. So that maybe it's confusing to Happy why he loses offline and he wins so much online. It's because maybe someone like Demaga, who wins only 20% allegedly on ladder, he already knows the counter maybe, but he's not showing it on ladder. However, if we look at Stefano and his rise to fame and multitude of tournament victories, it was the same thing people said about him. Too predictable, but it hurt him sometimes, but a lot of the times it didn't hurt him. Just
that's
because
true.
he was so good in that one style. So you have different kinds of players. You have like smart players. The same in tennis. You have like brainy players, and then you have like strong serve players. Just always the same strong serve, and they just carry their game off the back of that. And someone like Happy and Stefano, they're like that. Like they get very perfect in one kind of style. Either their predictability will kill them, or they'll just overwhelm you because they experienced this situation like tenfold of how many times you experienced it.
It's good. Good talk, Grubby. Good talk. mOOnGLaDe, you just shouted out Demaga before we started going off on Happy.
Yeah. Well.
Do you have
it's
a
more-
counter argument here, mOOnGLaDe? Is that what you're getting at?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have no knowledge of really the European scene, but I do like Demaga, and I do like his style. He always seems to have like his own kind of thing going on in some of his matchups. He always does things a little differently, and I think he's really interesting to watch. Just thinking back to him versus MVP in WCS a while ago now, it was really fun to watch him play, and yeah, I think it'd be a great match to watch.
Of all the players that made it through, I felt like his win, we saw the most emotion out of a player when he finally won his match to get into the playoffs, the round of 8. And it's always great to see Demaga happy and smiling and very excited. It's always great to see anyone like that after a win, but especially Demaga. Like everyone loves Demaga when he's like that. So TLO MVP. We'll throw this to mOOnGLaDe first. Who wins that? It's not a sure MVP win, is it?
No. Actually, I remember when the groups were announced, or the matchups were announced, that TLO was very happy that he got MVP. He said it was like the one match he wanted. So maybe TLO really, I don't know, thinks he can beat him pretty convincingly. Maybe he just wants to try and take out a Titan, or I think it'd be very interesting. Obviously, TLO has also a very unique style compared to most other Zergs. So, but I think it's hard to say who will win that though. I haven't really seen much of MVP play lately.
Did Tilo not say that he wanted MVP? Did he not say that in an interview? Todd or
Yeah.
Grubby, did you guys, or even mOOnGLaDe? I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if you saw that. Do you have any insight to that? I guess as European players, Todd and Grubby, of why, or maybe just as a friend of TLO.
I'm not sure exactly, but knowing the character, I guess he wants to take on the best. He's practicing a lot for that, and beating MVP in the round of 8 of WCS will be really big for anybody. So while some player might want to avoid him until the later stages, TLO is not like that, and he's gonna wanna get down to business as soon as possible, and he's gonna have a good opportunity too here. And I really like that he's going at it this way.
Anything to add,
Yeah.
Grubby?
Yeah, I agree completely with Todd. And also, when you think of it, playing against MVP in the European rendition of WCS is the closest thing to beating. Let's say if you win, it's the closest thing to beating MVP in GSL, besides beating MVP in GSL.
That's very
Like
true.
if he does it here, and he already, if a player already made up his mind that they don't want to go to Korea to play GSL and live there for 3 months, because that's a pretty big life decision. If they're not going to do that, this is the next best thing. So if he wins here, yeah, I think that victory will be #1 on Reddit for a while, I would say. So big glory coming if he wins here.
And mOOnGLaDe, I do want to apologize. I was not paying
Sorry, I was
attention
reading-
when you
No,
glanced, or
man.
when you said that. I was living the first part of the VOD on YouTube. So
No.
So
Never mind
yes, I did know about that beforehand, and I did not get that from mOOnGLaDe, but I'm sorry, mOOnGLaDe, because you already stated that. Lucifron 4GG, do we see Lucifron move on there? And I think this might be better for a Todd or even a Grubby, just because of how... I mean, 4GG's been practicing in Europe for quite some time, and Lucifron obviously very European, so who wins that match, Todd, since you'll be casting it?
This is such a sick match in my opinion, because 4GG, it was mentioned in the previous cast of him where he had to play versus Stern. It's his best matchup, and I think he has the best TVT ratio in the world or something like that. He has something ridiculous, a ridiculously high ratio. So going against Lucifron here, Happy and Lucifron, as I say, they always rank 1 and 2 in Europe, but 4GG is pretty high up there. They are like the tri-Terran who always play each other every day on ladder and like basically only beat each other. But 4GG's, I would say, in ladder, maybe a little bit below these two. But in tournament, it's a different story. And 4GG is such a monster in Terran versus Terran, but so is Lucifron. So it's going to be like the sickest clash of Terran versus Terran Titans here, in my opinion. And as much as if we look at the stats, I think everyone would agree that 4GG is the favorite, but Lucifron is just so good, and he's shown so good things so far in this tournament. I don't think he's lost a map yet. He's crushed everybody he's played. So
Is that true?
He beat Happy before. Was it?
Yeah, he was 2-0, 4-0
Yeah, 2
overall
MVP.
in round of 16, and then...
He 2-0'd MVP as well. So why not 4GG?
Yeah,
I
2-0,
guess
4-0
that's
in
possible.
round of 32. He has not lost a map in this tournament. You are correct. That is a pretty awesome stat.
And so sick praise from MVP. MVP, one of the winningest players ever, said in an interview, translated, I almost felt like Lucifron was a level above me.
That's
so sick. Like, praise from a
that's
player
a pretty
like
big
MVP.
ego boost. And I don't think Lucifron's like a cocky player by any means, but that's a pretty... If MVP says that about your play, you got to think that you went home feeling pretty fucking good about yourself at the
Well,
end of
it's
the day.
best not to let it affect you. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But I mean,
for
it's
people-
hard. It's hard to not let that affect you. I would think, for someone that just has probably the most accomplishments of anyone in StarCraft 2 thus far.
But I think like Lucifron's brothers, they're also in esports. They run his team. Vortex, good player. I think they can balance each other out. when they go off balance. Like
Yeah, that's
sometimes esports, as a pro gamer, it can be very lonely, and if you lack guidance from an official coach or like friends to talk to, you can like get an unbalanced attitude. But I think Lucifron, he's like very kind. He almost never, says anything untowards to anyone. He's very intelligent. He's a very good player, hardworking. He's modest. So I think like there's a very good positive influences from the Duran family. And I think there's not such a big risk that he will let himself be unbalanced by a comment like that, even though that praise is, very cool. And you could just go circle jerk on that, but no need.
Exactly. So I'll throw the last match to you, Grubby, because I think I know where Todd stands here. Stefano Baby Knight. I mean, who wins that match? That's not a sure win for either player, I think.
If it had been like a month ago, I would say Stefano. 3 weeks ago, I would say Baby Knight. Then I would say Stefano. Then it keeps changing. The scary thing about Stefano is like he reached this point whereby it seems like he always says he doesn't care, right? But maybe he does secretly. He always says he doesn't practice,
cares.
but maybe he does.
He does.
But like recently, it seems like he was a little bit on the downturn in terms of like pure fighting spirit. But then when I played him, he didn't seem that strong, but still a lot stronger than me in that series. So and of course in general and in accomplishment too and so on. But like then you see him play a week later, and he got so much better. And also like from DreamHack to the next time we saw him, he was a lot better. And I heard someone else say it. I think it was Baby Knight too, or someone else. But like in 1 or 2 weeks, you see him play and you're like, oh, he looks mortal suddenly. He looks human. And then you see him a week or 2 later and he plays the same style, the Swarmo style, and it just looks so much more refined, so much little improvements. And the feeling is completely different. So while...
I feel like you're talking about your games.
What do you mean?
Because you beat him at DreamHack, and then he was mortal, and then you played him in WCS, and then he did the style much better, and then you lost.
Yeah, I mean, on DreamHack, I felt like he wasn't playing very strong at all, and I won pretty easily. And then when we played at this tournament, he both had different strategy, and also played much stronger and more assertive in general. And then, which group did he win? Yeah, when he played Feast in Group Stage 2, round of 16, he looked a lot better than when he played Baby Knight and me in the round of 32. So now another week has passed, and how much will we have improved? It'll be hard for Baby Knight. I'll be rooting for Baby because he's the last Protoss, but it will be very, very hard. I think Stefano is going to win, but I'll be happy to see Baby prove me wrong.
Stefano is doing really well on the European ladder. 111 wins, 38 losses, so 74% win
Very
rate
good.
and rank 16.
Very good.
So
rate.
I guess we know in what kind of shape he is.
Yeah.
mOOnGLaDe, you want to weigh in on Stefano Baby Knight?
I don't know too much about either player, but I really hope Stefano wins. I don't know.
It's so funny. mOOnGLaDe is like my counterpart.
Yeah, he's like the
Zerg.
Zerg Todd. Yeah. Or maybe you're like the Protoss mOOnGLaDe. We'll never know. We'll never know.
Yeah, I
Without
always
the hair
appreciate. Yeah, well, you should grow your
You should
hair
grow
out.
your hair out, Todd. You could do that. You could do the hair flips. Then you don't have to ask mOOnGLaDe to do them for you.
Yeah, Stefano is very good, and he did seem in a bit of a decline the last few tournaments he was in. But yeah, it sounds like he's practicing hard, so I hope to see some great games.
So, Todd, when is all this action starting? Since you are casting it, I'll give you a quick plug, since I know it's going to be on next week. I think is what you mentioned.
25th, 26th. I'm not sure about the schedule, actually. I just got it today, but we are going to start much earlier than we usually do so that we don't show the game same time as the Champion League airs, which is a real football tournament for you. Yes, that's called football here. They kick the ball with their feet. So, and anyway, it's going to start much earlier. I think around noon, something like that. I will be plugging it later on Twitter. Everybody will be posting about it, so you can keep an eye on it. But save your which day will it be? Save your Saturday and Sunday to watch those playoffs because it's going to be some sick games and some sick casting as well.
Awesome stuff. So, the final thing I want to talk about is something that I don't know how much you guys will want to weigh in on. But earlier today, and this is more, it's very heavy speculation, but I think that the community should not overlook this. A man by the name of Itzik bin Basat, who was heavily involved in the WCS this year. He was co-interviewed with Mike Morhaime multiple times about the WCS and pretty much the PC gamers. Everywhere he went, he was there at the GSL, the start of the GSL, Codes, the WCS Premier League over there. Is no longer with Blizzard, and didn't really state why. All that he said was this tweet. Heading back to NY, I'm sad to leave Blizzard, but no, Mike Morhaime will continue the changes we started together and keep Blizz so great. So it's a little bit of an interesting tweet, because if you look back, the person that was heavily involved in the 2012 WCS, Ilya Rotelli, formerly of Wizards of the Coast, now works for Riot. It was the esports manager for Blizzard, and he no longer works there. And obviously WCS 2012 and also this year have had their share of complaints from the community, from their casters, from whoever. They have not been perfect. So it is just a little bit interesting to see this, and I did not want it to get overlooked by the community, but everything that I've said, or everything that I'm trying to say, is 100% speculation. Who knows why he actually left? Who knows what happened? We'll never know, and that's not for the public to probably know regardless. But
Sometimes people leave jobs.
yeah, I mean, he could have just. I think there was a follow-up tweet with a lot of people in the new Blizzard San Francisco office that used to work at IPL. David Ting and Kevin Naki and Josh, were all tweeting at him, and a lot of the tweets that he was saying was that his family was in New York and he wanted to go and be with them instead of live across the country. So it
Makes sense.
makes sense. I mean, that's good enough reason for me. I'm not looking for a reason. It's more just kind of bring it to the attention of the community. So if you guys have anything to say or weigh in on that, feel free. But I don't expect you to. So I'll give you a moment of silence, I guess, is the best way to say this, unless you do want to talk.
Just, I don't know, good luck to him, and I hope it doesn't negative affect WCS or anything. I don't know. I honestly didn't know who he was until now.
I think it's sad to see somebody involved with something as good as WCS leave the company he was working with which he achieved that. But there is a lot of motivated, competent people who love the game as well. So I'm sure WCS will keep running itself. I'm sure it will keep on improving. And although it is sad, somebody who was doing something good left Blizzard, I'm sure he had his reasons, and I wish him the best of luck as well.
He was the executive vice producer of global publishing at Blizzard Entertainment, formerly the VP of global business development and international on the executive team at Blizzard. So definitely one of the higher ups.
That's a very long title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was that important, guys. He had a long fucking title. But yeah,
What's your title, JP?
my title? My title's self-employed, man. I can be the fucking king of the universe. That's my title. That's how I wake up every morning. Like, what are we gonna do today, King? Like, I don't know. Like, what's your title, Todd?
My title?
Yeah, what's your title?
Frenchie?
Oh
Nothing.
god. Oh god.
I don't have one.
Okay. Well, that's all I wanted to hit on that. I felt like it was somewhat overlooked because there is some other news hitting Reddit today, and I felt like people should definitely take a look at that. So other than that, I think it's a show here, guys. I think we're all good to go. So let's go ahead and do a round of shout-outs. We will start with mOOnGLaDe first.
Same old shoutouts. Thanks a lot for having me on again. It's been a while since I've done a state of the game since the new time slot and everything, but pleasure to be on once again. Shout out to my team Gamecom NV. shout out to Clarity for letting me stay at their house. It's an awesome house. And my sponsors, Frag Labs, Horizon, and Plantronics. Thank you.
There you go. Todd, some shout outs?
Team XMG, of course. They were nice enough to pick me up when I was pretty bad at this game and pretty bad commentator. So no, I guess I've improved in both. I'm sure they will be happy about that. I plan on keeping up the good work. And yeah, thanks to you guys for being on the show as well, especially the Warcraft players, mOOnGLaDe and Grubby. It was nice to have this little reunion here. It's been fun.
There you go. Grubby, some shout outs?
Yeah, thanks to everyone who's been cheering me on for WCS. I'm pretty happy to be back in Premier League. Also, big shout out to my sponsors, BenQ, the best monitors in the world, Twitch TV, best streaming site in the world, and Trademo. I also want to give a special shout out to the people that helped me with advice or practice in the last few days that I had my Challenger League. I owe you guys one. If you need help, message me. Harstem, Zanster, Wellmu, Vipro, Xenocider, and the Ognis. Thanks very much. And,
I think you're missing someone.
Practice. Thought too, but
Good.
One
had a bad day, you know.
Oh, God.
Especially Todd. Thanks very much. And I heard you recommended
right.
me for State of the Game, so thanks for that.
He did. It actually went down with this. I'm messaging Todd. I'm like, man, who do I get on? QXC can't make the show. It's too late. Like, who do I get on, Todd? He's like, aren't you supposed to do this? You're the fucking host. And I'm like, Todd, I'm just asking for some help here, you asshole. And he's like, why don't you ask Grubby? And I was like, I don't know, man. Grubby's kind of a big shot. He's like, let him know that I'm on the show. And I'm like, all right, Todd, I'll do that. I'll do that. And then
he messaged me and he said, Grubby accepted.
yeah, and guess who's on the show? Fucking Grubby. Fucking Grubby.
That's what happens, man.
That's what happens. So good luck to all three of you in the future tournament. And once again, congratulations on all the success that you have had this week. Thank you all for coming on. It was an awesome show. I really enjoyed the show. The last thing that I do want to say is that finally, the State of the Game shirts are here as of tomorrow. You can purchase them from rodeoarcade.com. They should be up sometime in the day tomorrow. I'll probably tweet a link out to the direct link for them. Gonna start simple. It'll just be the State of the Game logo on a navy blue shirt. But rodeoarcade.com, like I said, I will tweet it out tomorrow, and it's probably one of the best ways to support me. So go check it out and follow all these guys on Twitter. You can see them below.
Did you say rodeoarcade.com?
Rodeoarcade.com, yeah.
Okay.
Can I get a free
thanks.
shirt?
I'll look into it, Todd. Can I get a free
Yeah.
XMG jersey?
Appreciate it.
You can. If you give me like 15 shirts. Of
Okay, I'll trade you. Here's what we do. And Grubby, this is especially for you since I know you custom make all your jerseys.
Yeah.
I'll trade you a State of the Game t-shirt for an NV hoodie, an XMG jersey, and a Grubby jersey.
How about I have a counter offer? I'll make you a Grubby shirt if you cook me a banana garlic pizza.
Oh my God. Maybe so. Guys, this has been State of the Game. We're out. Thank you all for coming on. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.